Hello everybody, welcome to Create with Chris at Cupboard Distributing. We kind of had a little snafu in the beginning, but welcome as we do take number 2. I am Chris Hoy, owner and founder of Cupboard Distributing, your #1 shopping outlet for all your creative decorative painting and crafting needs. The Pixelated Palette, which is the #1 online e-zine for decorative painters and creativity. I also own Scrapbook Outlet, Chris Hoy Designs. I'm an artist and designer, and keep busy every day. So I want to thank you for joining me. And today I thought it would be fun to actually paint an entire ornament. We'll see how far we get. Hopefully we'll be able to get close to the finish line. If not, we'll do part 2 next week. So let me switch over here. I'm going to be painting the Candle Glow Ornament, and this is on a wooden little mason jar, 6 inches. Just really a nice surface. This is MDF, which is a wood composite, and because it is wood, I do treat it such, and I seal it with a multi-surface sealer. Absolutely love painting on MDF because it is such a smooth finish that is very gentle with your brushes. And if you have any trouble with your brushes getting fuzzy on the tips and kind of curling, the MDF really cuts back on that and helps eliminate that problem. So we're going to do things a little bit differently today. I'm going to use some shortcuts on creating this design and show you a couple different ways that you can really crank them out if you're doing a lot of them at once or want to do one for everyone on your Christmas list. This is going to be a fun, quick project. So I have sealed this with multi-surface sealer. Very, very lightly sand it. You don't want to dig down into the surface of the MDF because you could roughen it, and that's when you run into problems. Just a gentle light with maybe a 240 or 220 sandpaper. The jar itself is base coated with deep midnight blue, and the lid is zinc. And I was talking about my grandmother. She did a lot of canning, and she did actually use zinc jar lids for her when she did her canning. Alrighty, so when I created this one, everything was hand painted, but I did find, this is another project that I created, and I had this stencil cut. I also own CD stencils, so I can cut stencils to whatever I want. But I did this project, and this stencil is what I used. Let me flip it over here. On these holly leaves. And I thought to myself, hey, this is just about the same size. So to keep an open mind, it doesn't have to be the identical stencil or the identical shape. A holly leaf to fill in that area is what you need. So any holly leaf that would work in there is going to make it a lot easier if you do happen to have a stencil. And I kind of laid it here to see where it's going to fit in. Now, if you don't have a finished piece to kind of judge off of it, just take your line drawing and do the same thing. See how it's going to fit in. The line drawing is the actual size, so you can lay the stencil on there, kind of get a feel for it. Now, to make this one work, I did want to flip it over so that it's I wanted the fullness of the holly leaves to be up here on this top right side. So I'm just going to position that. I know it doesn't have to be perfect. I know it needs to be down here towards the bottom. And I want to make sure, see where these little tips are? I want to make sure they don't fall off the edge because this greenery is inside the jar. And you want to make sure that you keep it in there. You don't want it hanging off the edge. I'm going to take a piece of painter's tape and I'm going to tape it down. Do this for a couple reasons. Number one, I don't want it scooting around on me. And number two, I'm not a really neat painter, so sometimes I get out of the line. So if I tape it down and mask off those edges, it just kind of creates a safety net for me. Starting with foliage green, it's a really nice Christmassy bright color. And I'm using a gray palette. And any time that you squirt your paint out and you get those little, can you see that in there, those little lines? That means you have not shaken your paint up well. When you go to use it, it's going to be real thin and you're not going to get good coverage. So keep an eye on that. Shake it up a little bit more. Let's go back down here. You just create a little more work for yourself. Takes longer for it to dry. It's not going to cover well. Alrighty, I have my Spectacular stencil brush. Has a very soft bristle. And I'm going to work the paint into my bristles really well. And I've got quite a bit of paint in there. I don't want to have to reload. Okay, kind of suck that whole puddle up in there. Now if you look at my brush, I don't have any heavy paint on the tips. However, I want to make sure that when I begin to stencil, I'm not going to have too much paint on my brush, because that's what causes the paint to run under the edges. So I've got a paper towel, just going to lightly dust that over there. And you can see I've even removed more. Now, the paint's in there, it's just not on the tips. Just going to start and pounce it down. Now, because I'm working with that dark midnight blue background, I'm just going to take a couple coats here. So I'm going to tap this on. And I'm not pounding really hard. I have found with the stiffer brushes that you need to use a little more strength in applying the paint, but with a soft brush, you just need a light touch. I have some issues with my wrist, so this gentle touch is a little bit easier. If you have any stress on your wrist or joints, just makes it a lot nicer not to have to grab on with a death grip. Okay, and I'm just going to let that dry, because we're going to try to stay with, isn't that pretty? Wow. Anytime you want to make the background and your foreground really pop, this darker background works super well. I stay away from black because it's too flat and too stark. Any colors that have just a little bit of softness to it, such as deep midnight blue, there's a midnight green, soft black, charcoal gray, any of those toned down colors are going to give you really good contrast. It's going to make a really nice, make that really pop out well. Okay, now on my original, I have a little halo here. We're going to let this dry. I'm going to jump up and create that halo next. This is my very, very favorite stencil because it has all these circles on it. I have a problem with contacts. I have a short and a far distance, one different in each eye. So for me to do a circle or a straight line is difficult. That's why we have circle stencils. That's why we have T-rulers. All those things will make you look good. So you need to find the tools that help if you have a deficiency with anything, and use those tools. Now this one's just about the right size. And I want to make sure, if I look at my original, or if you have the line drawing here, I can tell it's just about a finger length below this lid. So I can just, forgot which one it was, this one here. Just kind of, I know I want it in the middle, so I'm just going to do that again. Just to eliminate frustration, I'm going to tape it down, because I know this little skinny edge right here, I'm going to accidentally scooch over it and get on the background. And we'll just put one right here just to make sure I stay in the right place. Using soft, or I'm using Snow White. Shake my paint really well. Now this is going to be just a soft hint of color. Spectacular stencil brush, work that into the bristles. I'm not using near as much paint. With the green, I want a nice opaque coverage, so I really worked a lot more paint in the bristles. This one, I just want to make sure I have paint distributed evenly in the bristles, not a heavy load of paint. Still going to wipe that off. Now, when you want to get a very soft dry brush, you want to just start very light touch, because it will get, I'll go in just a little more. You don't want that scratchy look. I'm starting to get a little bit of scratching, so I'm going to work a little more of that paint out of my brush. I can always go back and add more, but if you have to take some out, and see, I'm still getting that light and dark. Always amazes me how little paint you actually need. Okay. And I'm kind of doing an X. I found out if I do the circle thing, it ends up looking like a little tornado and you have a hole in the center. So I'm just kind of going around the edge very softly until I get the filled in. And I can see how much paint is on my brush. Now I can start to fill it in a little heavier. Pay attention to any voids. You don't want to have any light and dark areas. You want it to be fairly smooth. Now if you're not sure and you're not on a time clock, let it dry and go back and you can add another layer. And it doesn't look like I've added much. However, if I lift this up, ta-da, it just doesn't take much at all. So I'm thinking that looks pretty good. All right, let's go back to these holly leaves and pop on a second coat real quick. And don't worry about if you take your stencil on or you're going to get it lined back up. They don't shift in size once you take them off. It's exact same size. I promise you it will fit in the exact same spot. Just get a little more paint. One thing nice about these brushes, I can just wash them out and go to the next color without having to worry about the bristles being too wet and the paint not going on well. This is my second coat, but I still am going to wipe that off so I can get a nice coverage. Light touch. You don't want to shove that underneath the stencil. When I lift this off, it should be nice and perfect. Okay, lift that up. There we go. Now I want to put a little bit of pine needles in behind. And I should have put those in before I put my second coat on. I kind of jumped the gun on that one, but we're good on that. Using a little bit of plantation pine. My Epic script liner, if you're looking for a super awesome, fantastic, long-lasting, amazing liner brush. This one is what you need. Alrighty, I am loading that paint into my bristles, making sure that I load it well. However, I still have a nice, long, slender barrel. You don't want to have so much paint on there that you lose the shape of the brush. Alrighty, so we'll tuck some pine branches right in here, and I don't think these are going to show up very well because it's dark on dark. However, you need to get that dark background in there. As we add the other colors, they'll start to show up a little bit more. I'm going to put some down here. Maybe I can go in a little closer and you can see it. And maybe not. Okay. The tones are just really close. And I want to make sure that I go in behind the holly leaves. I don't know that you can see that, but I don't want to have my holly leaves like they're floating around the pine needles. Let's put a few back here. Oops, back up in here. And maybe a couple up here. I'm going to flip it around so we can add. My candle's in there, but I want some in behind the candle as well. Can't have too much greenery. After we get the foliage green on there, I'm going to switch to, we get the plantation pine in there, I'm going to switch to foliage green. And this is where we start to see the pine branches really evolve. And loading the same way. Let's go back a little bit. I get so focused on what I'm doing, I forget to look at what you can see. Lindsay is on the other end, so say hi to Lindsay. I forget to look at the comments, but she is taking care of that. So if you have any questions, shoot them over to Lindsay. She'll send them on to me. She's not that far away. And we'll get them answered. I've got some stuff on there. Okay. And if you need to know any of the product that I'm using, again, she'll let you know what it is. Everything is available at Covert Distributing. Okay. Nice light touch on the brush. Now, the foliage green is the same color as the holly leaves, so I can be a little more relaxed on how I put those pine noodles in there. I don't have to paint around my holly leaves, so I'm just going to go over it. It's going to look a little more natural than trying to fuss about painting around them. Light touch, stay on the tip of your brush and get those in there. Okay, it's starting to fill in nicely. I do my pine branches with several layers of color. It builds them up nicely without making them look heavy and solid. Stay on the tip of the brush, have a nice gentle touch. Load your brush well. You should be able to do quite a few before you have to reload. And I let the curve of my wrist kind of create the curve on the pine needles. And we'll tuck some up in here. Remember that candle's there, but we don't want to not go around it. Again, I'm just painting right over those leaves because I'm using the same color, it won't matter. And I can do a couple little branches up here. And we'll add another one over here. Just make sure it doesn't go outside the edge of the jar. I think it always looks a little better if you keep random heights and lengths on it. Just looks a little more natural. Okay, when I painted this one, we had Lemonade, which was a really nice highlight color, and then they discontinued that, so I went to Green Tea. They discontinued that, so now I found the Neon Lights Green Energy is really a nice highlight color. I've never been, it's not that I don't like the neons, I just never use them. So now I'm finding out just actually how wonderful they are. To add brightness, and they really add some vivid color very nicely. They're a little bit on the translucent side, so you don't have to worry about them being overpowering. They just bring a brightness. All right, now because these are behind the holly leaves, the areas behind them are not going to be as bright, so I'm just going to highlight kind of the tips on these so that that area back there can remain just a little bit darker. See how that just brightens those tips up? Almost like somebody flips the light on. Isn't that pretty? Look at the difference. It just really starts to jump out. And we're going to add some shading in there too, so if they get a little bright, we'll tone it down. Okay, my paint's not flowing well, need a little more water. You can always tell when you get little short, spotty strokes, you don't have enough water. And just brush that on. Don't get too much. If you get too much, you lose the impact. Up here is going to be a little bit brighter because it's closer to the candle. So I'll just put a little more on there. And some of this may be covered up by the candle. Those are just practice strokes, so don't worry about that. This one's a little bit bright, isn't it? Just use my little mop to lift some of that paint up. I just took my finger and kind of stuck it in there and softened it down. If it's still a little bit bright, go back with some plantation pine and just put a little stroke right over that. And you're done. Okay, I think we'll let our pine branches be good for now. And I'm going to go in and add a little bit of shading. To add the shading, I'm using plantation pine. I have a 1/4" angle, and I love Jo Sonja brushes. If you've not tried these before, they're such a nice brush. I paint every day, and honestly, I use these for several years before they even begin to start to show wear. I'm going to get just a little bit on the toe of my brush, and I'm working that in. So it's just maybe 1/3 of the way on my, I don't know if that showed up, just a little bit, and you can check and see I've got about 1/3 of the brush that has a little bit of paint on it. My light is from the top, so it's going to be shaded along the bottom. A little more water on my brush. If your paint does not flow well, you need more water. There we go. And we'll just swoop that down there. And I always like to go down that center vein. Nice to give a little curve. It makes it look a little more realistic. Let's get a little more in there. Okay, let's add some. I'm going to flip it around, just easier for me this way. Plenty of water on your brush. You can always go back and add more. Just don't get it so heavy that you have a lot to deal with. And another one, we'll just go down that center vein and put a little highlight in there. We got one right here. This one kind of overlaps. I'm going to go maybe this way with that center vein. And we'll add one right here. I'm just going to make the edge up. I know it has. We'll just make two lumps on that. This is my holly leaf, and I can do it how I want it, right? Okay, those look pretty nice. While those are drying, let's go ahead and put the candle in next. I think I want to add a little more highlight to this halo. And I'll just take a little bit of, I don't know if that's going to be too big, maybe not. I have my 1/2" angle, a little bit of Snow White. I want to brighten that edge, not a lot, just want to bring a little brightness to that edge. Softly, very softly. I'm going to start down here because that's going to be covered up with my candle. A little more water on my brush. I want it to really flow off very easily. A little more water on my brush. There we go. That's a little stronger than I want. So I'm just going to clean my brush, and I'm just going to encourage that paint to float around. I don't need to reload. I have plenty of paint here. I told you I can't paint a round circle, but I can follow that edge pretty well. It's just going to brighten that up a little bit. Tone that down. I like to use my fingers to lift excess paint off. That's a tool you'll never lose. Always close by and handy, hopefully. Okay. We'll let that dry for a bit. Let's go back. I think my holly leaves are dry enough. I can add some highlight. I have this green energy. Just going to start to pop some highlights on the tips of those leaves. And on the other side of this. And right here just a little bit, and down here. If it starts to lift, you may need to wait just a little bit longer. I think so far it's doing pretty good. I'm using my 1/4 inch angle. Just want to brighten those tips up and highlight this right here in the center. Look how that just really comes to life. Isn't that pretty? This is my favorite part of decorative painting. I say that a lot about many different stuff, but I'm always fascinated at what just a little bit of paint can do. It's almost kind of magical. Oh, look at that. Isn't that pretty? Just like that. Just a few brush strokes and it really comes to life. And let's go in and add a little bit of shading in between and around. Well, you know what? Let's wait until that dries a little bit more. Let's go back to do the candle itself. And red is an interesting color because it often does not cover well. So I always like to put a brighter base down below, and I am using coral shell and a number 12 flat because this is the width of my candle. So if I just go straight down, let's see, I should have a perfect candle. Alright, just like that. And I'm going to do that one more time from the bottom up. And now that I've got that in there, just let the brush create the width of that. Keep an even pressure and it should be just right. Okay, so now we need to let that dry. But what this is going to do, this is coral shell. This is a really bright color, so when I put red over top of it, the color's just going to resonate and just be very vivid and beautiful. Okay, so while that is drying, let's jump up here. I told you I jumped around a lot. Let's go in with some, this is golden straw, or moon yellow, any color of yellow. Camel works well. I'm not real fussy about the colors I use. I just like to have a nice bright color. And we want that candle flame to be nice and strong. Using my radical round, I have it loaded fairly well. I'm going to flip it upside down and just paint a little fat teardrop. Just like that. There's my candle flame. Actually, maybe we'll have it come down just a little bit closer to the candle. I don't want it floating that high up in the air. Okay, there we go. And everything's waiting on everything to dry. I get my little handy dandy fan here and we'll give it a quick buzz. Okay, I think that's fairly dry. We'll know in a moment when I go over it. And if you paint over a second layer and it starts to lift up, that's a good sign that the first layer was not dry. And that's always a real stinker to try to fix. Okay, let's put some watermelon slice over top of this candle. Bring that little guy to life. Love watermelon slice, such a pretty color. And we'll just put it right over that. Oh, there we go. We have a red candle now. Nice. Okay, is that dry? I always think the candle needs a little bit of color in the flame, so I have my 1/4 inch angle getting just a hint watermelon slice on my brush, just on the tip, working that in. I'm going to take and swoop a little bit, make sure I've got enough water on that, along the bottom and up the right side. Just really warms that candle up, gives a hint of color on there. You don't want it to change the color, but boy, look at what that does. Just adds that little bit of extra color in there that really makes it sparkle. And then we can take, same brush, a little bit of Snow White. And actually I'm going to use my Radical Round. And I've got Snow White on the tip of it. I want to just kind of dance a little bit of highlight in there. I like it to be just a little bit choppy because to me that makes it look like it's a little bit of a flicker instead of a perfect, straight, smooth stroke. Adds a little bit of dance and life to it. While we're waiting for that to dry, let's get a little bit of, I honestly think this is the only place I use black. And this is soft black. My Epic script liner. Let's put a little wick right. Okay, got a wick in there. We don't want a floating flame. So we have our flame is finished. We've got our candle almost dry here. Look how fast this is coming together. Okay, let's add some more color to that candle. We'll see if that's dry enough. This is deep burgundy. Well, actually, let's go ahead and put some, we want to add some candle drips on there. I've got my Radical Round, and I like to pile some right on the side. And I press down. When you press down, it lightens the paint up, so you get more of a light and dark kind of effect. See, can you see the light and dark in there? Just a little bit. You don't want these to be the same height. Add some different lengths on that. Always like to run one right over the edge. And make this side just a little bit taller. My candles never burn even. Oops. This one just a little bulbier. Well, Chris, you're off the camera. I'm so close that it makes it hard to see. But I wanted you to see that light and dark. Okay, I'll go back out a little bit. There we go. Let that sit there for a time. And I think the candle is dry enough that I can go back, and I have deep burgundy. This will really start to bring those Christmas colors, the deep rich reds in there. And I'm going to shade this along the bottom. I have my 1/4 inch angle, and I'm going to scoot it up this left side, and I'm up on the toe of my brush. I want to kind of tuck it in under that drip just a little bit. Wow, look what a difference that makes. Just that really deep burgundy on this red is so pretty. So very pretty. And we're still going to tone that down even more. Okay, I seem to have misplaced. Jen, would you get me an 1/8 inch angle? I need my awesome angle. We're going to shade up in there, and I need to make sure that I get what I need to shade in there. Wow, she's bringing that to me. I'm going in with a little bit of Payne's Gray. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Boy, that was quick.
Yeah.
Alrighty, this is my awesome 1/8 inch angle, and I talked about that before if you've been following me on Create with Chris. I designed this to have a longer bristle on it so that when you load it up and get ready to float, that you're actually going to be able to have enough paint loaded on your brush that you can make some progress before you have to stop and reload again. Makes your strokes just a little more continuous, and let's go in there. I want to shade around those little wax drips. And this will help clean them up a little bit too if they're not quite as neat and tidy as you wanted them to be. Just little touches of paint. What a huge difference. Okay, now let's go back in with Payne's Gray. And I want to start to bring in some shadows. Shadows are transparent. Payne's Gray is such a strong, vibrant color, so it doesn't take much to do a lot because it is so very strong and saturated that just a hint of color is all you're going to need. Alrighty, I just have a wee bit on my brush. Now, I'm going to start over here and shade just a little bit right under that holly leaf. And every time I do it, wow, what a difference that makes. So I've got it shaded right under there. It's transparent so you can actually see through it. I'm going to shade a little bit down the side of the candle on that holly leaf. I'm going to shade behind the holly leaf on the pine greenery. So if your little holly leaves are just a touch rough, be careful when you shade, and you can clean that up really nicely. You want that background just to really sink back in there. Same thing down here. You want to tone those pine needles down, really push them in the background. This is going to, see how that just shoves those back down in there. Okay, we've got some shadows here. I'm going to do a little bit heavier around the candle base, because this is where I want to put some berries as well. So if I have this darker around here, those berries are really going to start to pop. And we'll just push that back. And look how nicely that cleans that edge up. Same thing here. And I'll just put some right there. I think this little spot was for a berry, but that's okay. We'll stick one in there. And clean that up. Now I can do one of two things. I can bring this holly leaf in front, or I can push it behind. Because it's toward the back, I'm going to push it behind. And the way I do that, I'm just going to float a shadow right up the side there. And we'll pull a little bit of that into the holly leaf. It just makes it look like that shadow is just kind of continuing up. See how that works? Maybe pull it a little bit down here. Just strengthen that shadow a touch. And I didn't go all the way down. I just want to really push that part up and the other part back. Separate and define. Okay, so we've got these leaves kind of pushed out. I think my candle is dry enough. I want to add a little more shading on that as well, because I don't want this to be real dark and then the candle be real bright. And you'll see once you put this Payne's Gray over top of this red, it becomes this gorgeous kind of a purpley color, and it just looks beautiful. Can you see how that candle just all of a sudden really starts to take shape? Now I want to put that same purple shadow with the Payne's Gray below those waxy drips, and I'm going to bump down to my awesome angle because I need that little tiny control. Okay, we're doing not too bad on time. I think we'll finish it next week. Okay, so I've got just a touch of that Payne's Gray, and let me grab my glasses real quick. Okay, maybe not. I'll just have to. Can you see what a difference that makes on this? Thank you. Find my glasses. Oh my goodness. See how that lifts those up just a little bit. Huge difference. This one might be a little dark, so I'm going to lift some of that off. And because I want these drips to have a little more depth as well, going in with my awesome angle, and I'm just going to float a teeny bit on the bottom side and underneath of them. Each one of these little drips gives them some dimension as well. It's all these little touches that make just such a big difference. And we'll float that up on this side. Again, if you have any questions, shoot them over to Lindsay. After I'm finished, I'll take a look. And if there's anything that I can answer, I will answer them. Now, I went back with some Snow White, and can you see all the color in this wax? Oops, where did we go here? I want you to see all the colors in there. And when you blow it up real big, you think, oh my, that looks kind of messy. But think about how wax strips look. It doesn't have to be perfect and smooth. But I'm going to go in and just add some highlights. I've got a little bit of Snow White on the toe of my, and that's going to be right up at the top. You see how that really starts to build those wax strips? This one down here is just kind of nondescript. I can put that little bulb on there with just a little touch of paint and see what a change that is. And same thing over here. I'm not going to do too much on this side because I want to keep that kind of quiet over there. It's a little more in the shadow side. Wow, huge. All right, now that I did that, I'm looking at my candle flame and I'm thinking, you know, we'll just add just a little more to brighten that. Look at the difference that makes. Once you start adding your bright tones in, you can see where they need to be brightened up and balanced out. So if you've ever done a project where it looks kind of flat in one area, you may need to go back in, just ramp up your highlights a little bit or tone down your dark areas some more. Okay, now since we've brightened that up, look at the holly leaves. They're a little bit dull. So, get a little bit of Snow White, and I'm just going to pop some highlights right in those areas that should be brightest. The ones closest to the candle flame. Not all of them. Look at that. What a difference. And I know I keep saying that, but wow. These little touches that really start to, look how those jump out. Now this little guy over here, he just needs a touch. And I think I'll put some right down here. So he has some attention as well. He's kind of tucked in there, so he's not going to be as bright. See what a difference that little bit of white made on those. We can do the same thing with the pine branches. Now that I have the shadows in there, we want them to stand out just a little more. I'm not going to do too much. Just a few little strokes. And you think, well, maybe that doesn't do anything, but it does. You can tell down here, these two are much brighter than up here. And we'll pop some in. Can you see how that brightened up just by those? I probably put 4 or 5 in there. They don't have to be real strong, just a hint of color is all it needs. And you want to balance that color. So I don't want these up here to take more attention away than those down there. Oh golly, we are at 46 minutes. Time goes fast. Let's put a few sparkles in, and then we'll come back next week and add the berries, and we'll do the shiny glass and the highlights. But I want to add some sparkles on the halo around the candle. And I always like to add just a little bit of random sparkles on there. But what is a lot of fun is to go in, I have my Epic Script liner, and we'll just put a few little starbursts. Can you see a little closer there? Yeah. I don't tuck these right around the edge. I just kind of want to make sure that you just get some sparkle in there. And I changed the size on these so they're not all the same size. Something in my paint is making just a little bit. There we go. When I do the sparkles, I usually have my north and south, Chris, you're out of the picture again. My north and south little tines a little bit longer than my east and west, if that makes sense. Okay, so that and my little sparkles around the edge. Don't need a lot because we're going to go back and add some dip dots. And that, I always put one in the center. And just adds a little bit of random fun in there. And I kind of jump around because I don't want them to be samey, like some of them are like all in a row, like big or smaller. So if you jump around, you can get your mixed sizes randomly. Smaller dots are going to be a little more delicate, so if you want it to be just a little more sparkly, keep your dots smaller. If you want your dots to be smaller more easily, just thin your paint down with some water, and you won't have to. You will get more tinier dots, a little easier. Oh, look at that! It really starts to sparkle. Just adding those few little starbursts in there really add a lot of whimsy. Okay, I think we kind of had a fast ride here. We have a ways to go yet, but you can see we're well on our way. I think we can finish this up easily next week. Everything is available that we use today at Cupboard Distributing. Let me zoom just a little bit less here. Okay, there we are. So we will go from this to this very easily next week. We'll talk about some glass techniques, some shine, adding those little things that really make a difference as far as, there I am. The little things that make a difference as far as finishing up the project and making it look a little more professional, what you can do to just ramp it up a little bit. So I want to thank you for joining me today. This is a fun project. There's a lot of technique involved in it, but it's not hard. It's just simple strokes. Don't go crazy with heavy paint. I think that's the biggest thing. Load a little bit on your brush because a little bit of paint can do amazing things. It doesn't take heavy paint and layers and layers and layers. We don't need to work that hard. We have fantastic tools, brushes. Let those do the work for you. What you need to do is just kind of be in control. Let the brushes and the tools forge ahead, and you can just keep an eye on what you're doing and look at things such as contrast, highlights, shadows. All of that is what is so important. So again, if you have any questions, just send me a little note and I will get back to you. Lindsay has been manning the helm as far as all the content and chatter that's going on. I can't paint and look at that as well. So thank you to Lindsay. She does a great job. And if you have any questions, let me know. And until next week, hope you have a fantastic time. Keep those brushes painting, and we'll see you then. Let's go this way. Thank you. Bye-bye.